Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here with us as we love stream this morning. And so, welcome to my living room. Thank you for bringing me into your home. And we are here live every Sunday morning, here live on Facebook, live on YouTube. And you can always go back to either Facebook or YouTube and catch previous Sunday messages. So I encourage you to do that. And again, thank you for being with us. And I'll give you a note of thanks in advance too for sharing this message with your friends. This is how we continue to build our community, even though we are doing it on technology and not at the beautiful Sarasota Garden Club. But we are continuing to build a diverse and inclusive community, and you are helping us to do that. So I thank you for that too. All month long, our global theme is diversity inclusion. And us ministers receive, like an outline, a few quotes and an outline to give us a prompt as to what we might talk about. And so centers all over the world are this day talking about diversity inclusion. And our CSL Diversity Inclusion Commission is the one who did these outlines for us this month. And as always, I like to begin, no matter what topic we're talking about, from a very introspective place. Because anything we experience, anything we explore, any growth that we make always comes from the inside out, right? And so we began by looking at ourselves early in this month, this concept that we can't be inclusive to other people if we're not inclusive to our whole self, right? To our whole self, to every part of ourselves, warts and all. And then we also want to look at them. What are some of those warts? What are some of our biases? And can we maybe refresh those and update those? And if that's something that sounds interesting to you, the idea of unconscious biases, maybe you want to go back and listen to last week's if you weren't with us. Today, we're going to open the door to this concept around color blindness. Are we colorblind or are we colorful? I want to be colorful. And so I'm inviting you into that arena this morning. And let's begin with imagining a garden. Just a beautiful, beautiful garden, an array of flowers of different colors and textures and heights. And imagine not being able to see those variations in color, as if it was all one color of flower. Would that be color blindness, maybe? Well, 7% of men in the United States are said to have color blindness, and really less than 0.5% of women. And that would equate to 1 in 30,000 worldwide that have color blindness. But that is not the kind of color blindness I'm talking about this morning. That's not where we're going to go. Where we're going to go is looking at this idea that the impact of not seeing people for who they are, what that is, while it could be well-meaning, our intention doesn't always translate into impact. And that's what we want to take a look at. For many people of color, the impact of not being seen, not being heard or felt or distinguished from one another could be devastating, absolutely devastating. And it certainly is disempowering. And there's so many ways for us to experience life, right? And so the concept of color blindness also excludes those differences. So going back to our garden analogy, only one type of flower without any variation of color gives us a sameness. And it's not realistic, is it? Nor is it as beautiful as when we acknowledge that we live in a world of abundant diversity, and that expression of the divine is the way that each one of us shines our colors in its fullness. And so that's what Science Mind teaches, is our personal incarnation of the divine, us being emanations of the one, right? And so we're going to explore that this morning together. And let's begin with our invocation, just recognizing that truly we are all spiritual beings, because this is a spiritual universe. And we are given expression. And it's an infinite array that this expression can come through, because it is the expression of the Creator itself. And so by some amazing, fantastic, brilliant process of creation, each one of us, the universe is peopled with little mini me's, with the expression of the divine. And so I recognize that brilliance and that beauty this morning as we embrace all individuals and the collective as the expression of the divine. I call it good. I know it's good. I celebrate its goodness and its beauty and its brilliance here this morning. And so it is. We meet you right where you are today. And to help us do that is our very own Fairy Elaine Silver. Elaine is a Science Mind licensed practitioner, spiritual practitioner, and she is also our board vice president, and she's an amazing musician, a talented woman, a lovely woman, and so I'm so grateful that she's here with us this morning. Fairy Elaine.
Hi, great to be here. So let me just get together here. All right, so earlier this week, I asked Reverend Theresa to clarify what she was going to speak about this morning, because the description in the email was a bit confusing for me. So I'm looking forward to hearing her perspective. But from then to now, I think I know what it is. So each of my 3 songs today took me into a deeper expression of what I believe this lesson is. And my first contribution is I call it my original metaphysical John Denver song. Of course, I wrote it, called There Is Only One. We smile in the same language. We all breathe the same air. We are all connected. Let's join now together in prayer. There is no separation. There is only one. Move from inspiration. Feel the healing that's begun. We can help each other through this life, for there is only one. When we stand together as the light, the healing has begun. We smile in the same language. We all breathe the same air. We are all connected. Let's join now together in prayer. There is no separation. There is only one. Move from inspiration. Feel the healing that's begun. When you feel joy, I feel you. When you are suffering, I am too. For there is only one. The healing has begun. We smile in the same language. We all breathe the same air. We are all connected. Let's join now together in prayer. There is no separation. There is only one. Move from inspiration. Feel the healing that's begun. Now in Science of Mind we say that with healing it's revealing. There's nothing to be healed, only something to be revealed. For healing is revealing. Trade false beliefs for truth. And healing is that feeling as we stand in the absolute. We smile in the same language. We all breathe the same air. We are all connected. Let's join now together in prayer. There is no separation. There is only one. Move from inspiration. Feel the healing that's begun. So this next verse I wrote yesterday and this morning on my bicycle. Every person in your life reflects a part of you. It makes forgiving easier to take this point of view. These words that I am bringing out remind me what is true. These words that I am singing out are a gift from God to you. We smile in the same language. We all breathe the same air. We are all connected. Let's join now together in prayer. There is no separation. There is only one. Move from inspiration. Feel the healing that's begun. For there is only one. There is only one. There is one. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Elaine. Wow. Let's join together in prayer. I'm Bob Fieberts. I have the reading this morning, and it is a prayer. It's from the Science of Mind magazine, page 72. It's a prayer from Reverend Mark Gilbert called Inclusion in Action. At the deepest essence of my soul and consciousness, I recognize that there is only one life, one God, one power, one infinite intelligence that moves in and through everything. I know this divine spirit is giving every expression of the one its very existence. At the very core of my being, I recognize that everything I see, everything I experience, everything that may appear to be separate and apart from me is, in fact, a part of this oneness. Everything is connected in a beautiful and divine dance with the One. With this awareness deeply anchored in me, I sense the glorious beauty that abounds in this world through the vast multiplicity of the expressions of the One. Every rock, every plant, every animal, every person brings divine perfection forward to play and create. I know that at the human level, this wealth of individual expressions is brought out in so many varied ways, and I find room in my heart for every one of them. As I look out at all the spiritual beings around me, exhibiting the vast diversity of human experience, I see one perfect family, be it differences of culture, race, belief, religion, country, sexual orientation, or any other of the many ways we humans express our creative uniqueness. I am continuously aware of our oneness and the gifts of our differences. Spirit's experience of itself and my experience of this universe is served by this great variety. I know our human family is growing and evolving spiritually. I know this evolution is bringing forth individually and collectively a greater celebration of our perceived differences. I know this growth begins in our consciousness and cascades through our words and deeds out into the material world. There, We are creating an inclusive planet where every person everywhere is treated with dignity, having access to the resources needed to fulfill their basic needs and the opportunity to thrive by being their true selves, expressing their divine gifts and talents. I am thankful that together we are truly creating a world that works for everyone. And so it is. Now we have another song from Elaine.
Hi again. All right, this next piece is really two songs. It's one called Touch the Earth and one called Walk on Common Ground. And I came up with an additional verse. And I've just really embraced and loved this deepening in consciousness this week as I prepared for you. Touch the earth. In every living thing, there's a life force burning, in living waters flowing, in wind and now we're turning. In every living thing, there's a heartbeat sounding, in trees that are reaching, in oceans that are pounding. Touch the earth, 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 touch the earth. Speak of love, walk on common ground. The balance of the earth is a circle never ending. Life flows into life. It's a constant beauty blending. Now there is a threat, there is danger on the land, and we could turn our life into burning sand. Touch the earth, touch the earth, touch the earth, touch the earth. Touch the earth, touch the earth, speak of love, walk on common ground. In every living thing, every other thing is found. In living in the world, we all walk on common ground. Peace begins within, peace it gently sings, as we choose to find the pure light within each living thing. Touch the earth, 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 speak of love. Walk on common ground. Touch the earth, 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 speak of love. Walk on common ground. Speak of love. Walk on common ground. Speak of love, walk on common ground. Touch the earth, feel the sky. Touch the earth, feel the sky. The universe is my supply. The universe is my supply. Talk of love, walk on common ground. Talk of love, walk on common ground. Feel the wind, know the fire. Feel the wind, know the fire. The water's edge is rising higher. The water's edge is rising higher. Talk of love, walk on common ground. Talk of love, walk on common ground. There is only one of us, each a different aspect. We are God in human form. We can consciously transform. Talk of love, walk on common ground. Talk of love, walk on common ground. Talk of love, walk on common ground.
Wow. Oh, Elaine, that was just beautiful. Just beautiful. And I feel such an incredible peace as I begin to share what I have to share this morning. I so appreciated your song choices, and also, Bobby, that prayer of Mark Gilbert, Reverend Mark Gilbert's. That was really beautiful. The songs, the two song choices and the prayer are so spot on for what it is that I want to talk about this morning, this concept of color blindness or being colorful. So in the email that Elaine alluded to, I threw out a couple quotes or a couple statements. And you've probably heard them, or maybe you've even said them yourself. Things like, I don't see color, I just see people. We're all the same. America is a melting pot. And these statements and statements like them today can be considered racist. And you're probably going, what? What? You know, your mind's going, pow, pow, pow. Why? Why? How? Well, I'm going to share with you some of the why and how. And some came from a article in Psychology Today written back in 2011, where they literally were calling these kinds of comments racist. I typically can only speak from my perspective, right? Most of us can. And I would say, from my perspective, it was modeled to me as a child that, polite people don't talk about things like race, sex, politics. And we can see today that the politics part's off the table, or back on the table, right? You know, we're clearly talking about that. And in my opinion, we can and should talk about it all. From my perspective, it's all God. Anytime I find myself saying God and, I'm in duality. There's only one thing ever happening here, right? So we may feel like we accept people and love all people, and have made a statement like one of those in the past. I think the truth is that many people are very uncomfortable with the conversation. They're very uncomfortable talking about race, sex, or politics, and so they avoid it. But my job is to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. I love that, and I gladly take on that charge. The first time I heard that was by my first New Thought minister, Reverend David Owen Ritz, and I always thought that he was the one who said it. And now I have seen that several different people are attributed to having said that. But my job, I'm clear about, my job is to comfort the disturbed and to disturb the comfortable. And so this morning, we may have a little disturbance because we're going to have this important conversation. And it's an important conversation about identity and experience. You know, spiritually, we're the same, right? Spiritually, and that's what Elaine's songs were talking about. Spiritually, we walk on common ground. We are all from the same oneness, right? The same source. But humanity, if we look at our humanity, I'm imploring to our sense of kindness for the fact that not all people have the same experiences within life, right? We may walk on common ground, but the experience of that can be quite different for each other. But together, when we come together in this awareness and this allowance, there's that beautiful bouquet, that array of floral diversity, as I talked about in my opening with the beautiful garden, right? That's this thing called life in its fullness and its expression. And so I think our language, as always, I think our language is changing and needs to continue to change around the idea even of race. So we're going to talk about that for a moment. Just race, the word race, and what it in what we envision when we hear that word. Today we know that race isn't a genetic fact. We know that. We've known that for a long time. It is a it is a social construct. And Encyclopedia Britannica speaks to this or writes about this. They say that the idea of race is that human species is divided into distinct groups on the basis of inherited physical and behavioral differences. Now, genetic studies in the late 20th century refute the existence of biogenetically distinct races. We know this. And scholars now continue the argument that races are cultural interventions, reflecting specific attitudes and beliefs that were imposed on different populations in the wake of Western European conquest beginning in the 15th century. Maybe it's time to wake up, huh? Beginning from the 15th century, as an attempt to, number one, categorize people primarily by their physical differences, in an attempt to ultimately identify subclasses. But DNA shows us that we have much more similarities than we have differences. So, spiritually, science of mind teaches this idea of oneness, right? That every one of us has the same energy breathing us right now. That this energy that's moving in as and through me, that's breathing me now, is the same energy that is moving in as and through each one of you. That is breathing you now. Yes? Same energy, same power, same presence, same source, same substance. However, oneness is not sameness. And Ernest Holmes said this decades ago. Oneness is not sameness. We have expressions and experiences that are uniquely, divinely our own. So in this Psychology Today article, again, back from 2011, they write this about colorblindness, that it creates a society that denies people's negative racial experiences. It rejects their cultural heritage and invalidates their unique perspectives. And so that's why it's important that we have this conversation this morning. Colorblindness is many things, and its results are certainly not empowering, not supportive, and not fostering a world that works for everyone. And again, that is why we are having the conversation this morning, because the Centers for Spiritual Living, this is our vision. is of a world that works for everyone. So I am going to go on record with my own ignorance here this morning. I don't recall specific instances, but I feel certain that I have said things like America's a melting pot, and with very good intentions behind it. But a melting pot diffuses all the qualities into like one big soup, right? Yeah? Without allowing for the distinctions to remain. I can remember as a very young child attempting to convince my grandfather that Michael Jackson and Sammy Davis Jr. were just like us. People just like us. Well, the truth is they weren't. Number one, they're phenomenal, performers, right? Something that I would aspire to. But at an even deeper level, their experiences were very different. Their experiences, even right alongside their white counterparts, were very different in the entertainment business. Sammy Davis Jr. was receiving, hate mail, death threats, kind of hate mail when he was starring on Broadway in the 1960s. So many years ago, I began to see why our differences shouldn't be glossed over or hidden, because it's hurtful. It's hurtful. Through color blindness, the messages are, I don't see you. I don't see you. I don't know your experiences, and I don't want to know your experiences. I don't want to talk about your troubles. And the fact of the matter is, it's very uncomfortable with us to be with someone else's pain, isn't it? It is very uncomfortable to sit with someone else's pain. And people, this is a big pain. This is big. And another thing that color blindness insinuates is that we don't see color. Well, that's disingenuous at best. It's bullshit. We do see color. Of course we see color. Even that 77% of colorblind men see some shades of color. Of course we do. So what is that? What is that all about? Why would we say I don't see color? What is our intention behind that? I'm not going to presume to answer it for everyone. I'm simply sharing my experience. For me, it was to show my granddaddy that there is great value in appreciating the works of Sammy Davis Jr. and Michael Jackson. Today, our differences cannot be ignored, though. And I suggest that they can be seen with great reverence, with respect, and even adoration. That we can have a genuine warmth and acceptance about us, and really a sense of curiosity. I love that, and I think that is a beautiful quality for us to have when we're getting to know one another. We can have empathy. And certainly, I encourage my white friends to have courage to right the wrongs that our silence has perpetuated. Around color, around sex, sexism, sexual orientation, around politics. I believe that we can have our views and our perspectives while also having a great reverence for spirit, which is in and all around us. In the Science Mind textbook, we read, "The world of multiplicity does not contradict the world of unity." The world of multiplicity does not contradict the world of unity, for the many live in the one. So it's how we live and how we function together in a harmony that's in question. I think having empathy for the experience of another is a really important place for us to start. Nate Jacobs, who's the founder and director of the West Coast Black Theater Troupe, he was with us in the end of January, I believe, performing for us at the Garden Club. And he wrote an editorial on June 4th that can be found in the Sarasota Herald Tribune, or was in the Sarasota Herald Tribune. And it was very sad and upsetting to read that this incredible man has experiences of, quote, his words, a black man in America, not too different from that of Sammy Davis Jr. back in the 1960s. We cannot look away and not listen or learn today, because that is a horrendous example of color blindness. In his editorial, Nate is quoting Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when he's saying that we cannot fall in step with those that are more concerned about tranquility and status quo than about justice and humanity, end quote. Nate Jacobs goes on to say that we have come a long way, but that we have much further to go, he suggests. And again, I'm quoting Nate here. He says, we need to continue reshaping the way people think. Each individual needs to consider how to make a positive difference in the world. Every person needs to stand up for the rights of others, even when it costs them, end quote. And I thank you, Nate, for your encouragement and your words. I truly believe that this is our evolution. This is part of our evolution, to learn to honor our uniqueness and our differences in an open way, to move beyond our discomfort and to connect. Dolly Parton is in the news right now. She understands Black Lives Matter, and she understands the need to be seen, to be, quote, her words, known, felt, and seen. Isn't that beautiful? And she said 2 years ago that she dropped the name Dixie from her restaurant, and that it was innocent ignorance that had the word in the name of the restaurant in the first place. And she said she never wants to hurt another person or to cause another person pain. And that's what I'm talking about. It's not a call for deep shame and more divisiveness or defense even. It's simply, let's do better, right? Let's do better. Dolly says, I'm not here to tell people what to do, just to encourage us. And I too encourage us. I encourage us to investigate our biases like I did last week, to investigate our hearts around what unity and uniqueness and individuality really mean to us, and to open ourselves to this concept of a expansive inclusion, what that might look like. If we cannot discuss a problem, how do we ever think that we're going to solve it? That seems like an impossibility to me. And I feel that way in our political environment, as well as with color, this color blindness concept that we're talking about. The Centers for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast, my intention is for us to cultivate an environment where these stories of the oppressed are heard, valued, and then thoroughly discussed, where we can come to a recognition of what is ours to do around it. And here's 3 ideas: to recognize and value our differences, to teach and learn about our differences, and to foster personal friendships and also organizational alliances, so that we can find connection at every opportunity. At every opportunity. I encourage us to seek it and to create connection. In Living the Science of Mind, we read, we individualize the universal and we universalize the individual. I'll read it again. We individualize the universal. Each one of us is that unique personification of the divine, bringing our unique gifts and talents to the world. And we universalize the individual. We are that one. And there is no way around our connection and our interrelatedness. And so the importance of us recognizing that is of great value today. I believe if we're really interested in the idea and performance of oneness, if we can bring this teaching of oneness into our practice, then we need to be with people who are different from us. Listen to them. Learn from them. That's how we experience the fullness of this beauty that God gives us in our diversity. And I believe that it's love. It's a presence of love. It's a presence of unconditional love. It's the presence of divine love moving through each one of us that calls us to widen our circle of inclusion so that we really can reach out to one another, reach out to people who appear different from us. Even in spiritual community, I think it's important for us to realize that we shouldn't assume that we all think alike, that we all believe the same thing, that we all vote the same way, because we don't. It's foolish for us to assume that we would pray or sing or dress or talk or behave all the same way. And not only would it be foolish, but I think it would be limiting, wouldn't it? Be limiting if we were the garden of sameness, right? So what I'd like to do is take this concept into prayer now, because here's what I know, is I know that I live and move and have my being. My experience is in this garden of life. This garden of life is eternal, is immense, is infinite in its scope and its nature and its diversity and its brilliance and its beautiful and its beauty. I know that there is absolutely no end to the diversification of the one source and substance of all life. I honor that now. I know that even within my own self, that the one creator, expresses and moves in unique one-of-a-kind ways, just as my fingerprint is unknown to another. So are my deepest desires, my longings, my gifts, my talents. I am a unique expression of the one. And what I know for myself, I know for all. I know that this world is peopled, colored, infused with a diversity that is brilliant, that is beautiful. That each person, each place, each situation and circumstance is infused with this same vibrancy, with this same eternal, endless supply of creativity, of intelligence. I know there's an urge within each one of us to express this divinity in unique ways. And so I bless that here this morning. I call it good and I call it forth with great acceptance, with a great longing in my heart to know God in a deeper way, a greater way, with a greater fulfillment of expression. Simply, I allow God to be itself, to work its way through each person's life. I trust its unfoldment. I trust its presence. I trust its beauty, its intelligence, its wisdom. And I open my heart and mind now to connect with it at a greater level than ever before, in a greater way. May every conversation enliven my heart, bring forth a greater love. May every idea, every thought be infused with this presence, a harmony, a connection that shows me the divine in all its beauty. I accept this truth for myself, and I know this truth for each person within the sound of my voice. And I know that this world truly is blessed by this recognition, by this acceptance, by this honoring of the divinity in all, expressing itself in its brilliance and in its uniqueness at the same time. I allow for our differences to enhance our connections. I know that our differences serve as a catalyst and a conduit for authentic expression, for greater relationships. I know our differences, our disagreements, and our uniqueness is supported by the unconditional love of God. So into our hearts, our choices, our actions flow its presence. I affirm that the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast and its individuals be proactive in diversity inclusion. I affirm our authentic expression. I know that this is what oneness is. I am blessed. Each person is blessed in their presence of the unique divinity which shines forth in all its brilliance and color. I'm so grateful for this truth, and as I release it, I do so knowing that in the mind of God, this harmony already exists. I simply allow it to flow into and through my experience now. And join me in claiming this truth for yourself by saying, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me this morning and for entertaining this conversation. I'm going to send it back over to Elaine now.
Okay, I'm back. This week I wrote about breakthroughs, and I wanted to share that song with you. There's stuff in here about oneness, and I'm excited because I have a new song. And the idea of a breakthrough is sometimes we just get a flowing gift from the universe as an insight or an epiphany, but often, in my experience, I believe it's very common that many have a breakthrough as a result of a breakdown. They have a breakdown, and then we're thrown into a deeper introspective and deeper inner work. And this is when a breakthrough happens for many. It's like hitting bottom and then breaking through to a new top. So it's a new song, Breakthrough. And I wanted to share, I have my colors here. Some of you know that I used to be married to an oldies DJ. It was a long time ago. It was a 7-year process. As a result of those 7 years, I have somehow embodied doo-wop. So I got a little metaphysical doo-wop song here. There was a breakdown in the expectation with a face frown. I'm feeling desperation. I'm looking for that shiny pearl. And then I found my inner world, deep inside and through and through. As I entered sacred space and feeling centered in this place, there was a breakthrough, revealing what is true, a sacred breakthrough. With a new point of view, there was a breakthrough, a breakthrough, breaking through and through. There was a breakdown, everything went wrong, and with a face frown, I began to write this song, looking for that shining pearl. And then I found my inner world, deep inside and through and through. As I entered sacred space and feeling centered in that place, there was a breakthrough, revealing what is true, a sacred breakthrough. With a new point of view, I found a breakthrough, a breakthrough, breaking through and through. There's some confusion, the seeming limitation. It's just an illusion, the sense of separation. We're always changing and growing into more. Life's a rearranging metaphor. It took a shakedown to bring me back to me. This latest breakdown has really set me free, 'cause I found my inner world. I'm a radiating, shining pearl, deep inside and through and through. As I enter sacred space and feeling centered in this place, I find the breakthrough, revealing what is true, a sacred breakthrough. With a new point of view, I'm finding breakthroughs, a breakthrough, breaking through and through. Breaking through and through, breaking through and through.
Love it. Love it, Elaine. That was great. Yes, breakthrough. I hope we are all breaking through our limited thinking, our limited ways of being and limited ways of thinking, and I trust that. So this is our time of offering, our time of giving. I'm going to invite Bobby to come in here with me, and also invite Evan to go ahead and post our different ways of sharing your good and in support of this ministry. I do thank you so much for continuing to support this ministry and allowing us to do what we feel so called to do. And it really has been a blessing to us to be able to continue at this time, here from our living room. So again, Evan is posting the 4 ways to contribute on YouTube. There is the also the information there. You might have to click the word more under description, but you'll find it. And Evan is also posting the the statement by Ernest Holm, this affirmation that we've been reading. And I encourage you to read along with us on this. I love this, and read it to yourself throughout the week. It's just such a beautiful affirmation. And I encourage you too, as you do, to read it and think about the words used to create the good in your own life, but also in the lives of people all over this country, in our town, across the country, across the world. There's plenty to go around. There's an eternal, infinite source that is supplying each one of us right here and right now, and I know this to be our truth. So join me. Good and more good is mine.
An ever-increasing good is mine.
There is no limit to the good which is mine.
Everywhere I go, I see this good, I feel it, I experience it.
It crowds itself against me. It flows through me, and it expresses itself in me and multiplies itself around me.
I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Just a couple reminders of our connections that are continuing to grow and expand in our community. We continue with Julie Birch's meditation on Thursday evenings. That starts at 6:30. If you do not receive our email that's sent out every Thursday morning, then you will not receive the link for Julie's meditation. So if you would like that, go to our website, CSLCulturalcoast.org. Scroll down and sign up for the newsletter. And be watching for our new website, which is going to be coming. We still got a couple weeks away, but be watching for that. And classes continue, but we have a new thing, and I think I mentioned it last week. We're working on a directory, and we will have an online version of that where you can go into this portal and be able to see each other's contact information, those of you that choose to have it shared, so that you can call each other and that type of thing. And we also are going to begin online and in-person gatherings, just little social times to connect with one another. And Julie Birch and Hector Muniz are going to be heading those up. And Elaine and Marianne Shea and others are working on the directory. And then we're going to have some networking coming out of that. So there's lots of things in the works. Watch for our email probably in the next day or two about those connections, those opportunities for connection. I'm going to leave the screen now and put the link out there for our Zoom social. This is just a social hour after the service for us to talk about these concepts, to say good morning and have a cup of coffee together in our own homes. But anyway, I'm going to go post that now. Look for it in the chat, and I'm going to let you finish up. I love you. I love you all.
And we love you. I love you too, Theresa. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. And also, thanks for sharing this. Share these recordings, or share this as it's live. Like Theresa said earlier, that is the way we grow this community. One of the ways we grow this community. If you would like prayer, email prayer@cslculturalcoast.org. Prayer@cslculturalcoast.org. And let's close with the...
Let them know that this is a new link.
This is a new link. We have a new link this week. So look for it in your email,
right,
or look for it right now in the comments. So let's close with Let It Shine. There's a light at the center of everyone. It can light up the world just like the sun. There's a flame within us that can light our way. It can burn away the darkness of a troubled day. Let it shine, let it shine. Let your light shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Let your light shine. Whenever you see darkness, you've got to know that the light is within you. Everywhere you go, whatever you are facing, whatever's on your mind, you can help illuminate it. Let your light shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let your light shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let your light shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let your light shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let your light shine. Go out there and let it shine.